Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. Apollo Suns on their new LP.
You all have some very exciting stuff happening. I believe there's a release that just
Yeah,
happened. Yeah.
yeah. As at the time of recording, it just dropped today. So yeah, it's our first full-length album. Up until this point, we've just done EPs, so it's really exciting. We spent a lot of time on it. So yeah, Departures is out as of today, September 22nd, at the time of recording, of course.
Yeah. So you said you spent a lot of time on it. I'd love to hear about, what you all did, the process, how that all came together.
Yeah, technically we started writing the thing back in 2019, and we're like starting to road test stuff in 2020, but the pandemic happened and all that. So we would have had it out a lot sooner, but it probably would have been a lot different. So basically when like the lockdowns happened, in Canada they were way longer than in the US. Yeah, I don't want to touch on all that, but for better or for worse, it was just longer in Canada. So we would set up once a week, and we would get on Zoom as like a band, and then we would put like a recording interface on Zoom where we could program instruments and like digital instruments into the program, so we could use that to hear what we were writing, and we would like revise songs or throw out ideas. It was a very not it wasn't a very typical way for us to write music, but we were kind of all going a little stir crazy. We couldn't jam in a room together for a while, so we wrote like probably half the album just bouncing ideas back and forth. And some songs had many revisions or form revisions, different arrangements. And Yeah, it was an interesting way to write. And then once the lockdowns were lifted, we could go in and finally rehearse. And it was interesting because we were like, well, hopefully these songs sound good, because we haven't been able to hear them on actual instruments. Because like the midis are fine, but a midi saxophone sounds terrible. uh you know so that's kind of how we wrote it. And then once we were able to start rehearsing consistently, it was like 3 or 4 days a week, and then we would go back in on the road once in a while. And we officially started recording it in March of 2022, with about 10 days straight at 12 hours a day with our producer in the studio No Fun Club in Winnipeg. And then immediately after that, we started touring the US again, and everything kind of opened up. And so we didn't really get to road test the songs as much as we would have liked to, but it was like a 3-year process from just like writing the first thing. And that's not really like us. We're always writing and recording. So we kind of had to just really get to it. So yeah, luckily we were sitting on an album, A Relationship of Force. So we had some like music in the bank when the pandemic hit. Luckily, I guess some bands were not as fortunate. But Yeah, so the writing was kind of way more collaborative this time. Usually I write a lot of this stuff, but it's way better when everyone's collaborating. Everyone's kind of throwing in their sauce into the mix. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened, like the Cole's notes of it.
That's so cool. So is it still all instrumental?
Oh yeah. We did do actually we have this song called Dance, which is a collaboration with our beatboxing rap hip hop friend Btox. He's out of Montreal, and yeah, we had a great time writing that song with him. But besides that, there's really no plans in working with the vocalist, and I don't really care to, to be perfectly honest. Like we've played shows where we've backed up vocalists, and it's not like we don't we don't feel negatively or positively. We're just like, if a musician and a vocalist like comes along that wants to kind of work together, we're down. But I'm not actively seeking that because we're already busy, but we are open to, if anyone's listening to this and you're like, hey, Apollo Suns would be great for my voice to sing over, by all means send us a message or a DM, as the kids say, and we can definitely yeah, we can definitely talk. But yeah, all instrumental. Actually, no, there is some voices on it though. There's some of us whistling and humming a melody, and then we dialed in a radio where on the last song there's like a faint radio in the background. And if you listen to the full album and you listen to the end, the last thing you hear on the album at the last song, Beyond the Woods, is a voice saying, and that's your entertainment for tonight, folks. It happened by accident. It was like a radio program, and we're like, what a great way to end the album.
Wild. So you do okay. So you do have some. I mean, I have to say, I've seen you all live. You bring such a big sound. I mean, you are not at a loss in any way for
Thank you.
creating like that moment. And so I can appreciate that. And those are big choices, to kind of shift gears if you were to even temporarily work with a vocalist. I ask because on this show we've talked to a whole bunch of artists and people who are in that same vein of instrumental only, which I love. And so that's something that does come up every once in a while. I guess I'd be curious, in your opinion, for music goers like me, music fans, how do you feel that the concert experience may or may not be different for the kind of music that you all do? Because I think I know how it affects me, and it's a good thing, but I'd love to know your thoughts on it.
I think for me, like, I kind of like, I love lots of bands that have vocalists, and I love lots of bands that don't have vocalists. Like a really nice vocal harmony is beautiful. Like it's great. Like the human voice is a lovely thing. It's a beautiful instrument. How I think our music hits people is, I've heard all sorts of things talking to people, like it's really dancey. Sometimes it takes people on a trip. Sometimes it's like a full journey, or it's just, some people are just watching because they're like just into the musicality of it. I remember I've kind of gotten out of this, but I remember like for the first couple of years, if people weren't dancing, I would be like almost offended. Like, how dare you not respond to our music how I think you should? Because people experience music differently. Like some people are, I'm going to sit down and listen, and I'm not going to move at all. And others are like, I'm going to move a ton and be crazy, and that's great. Like, but and that always helps us with the energy of shows, because like when an audience is just in it with you, the transference of energy from band to audience is so cyclical that it just helps the band get like so in like the zen flow mode that, like, I feel like it must be like, it just kind of bumps up the band to a whole other level, like when the audience is just as in it. And it's kind of like listening to like like Jerry Garcia talk about like how the audiences were just as much a part of Grateful Dead shows as the band was. And that is so insanely true with any band. It wasn't just like a Grateful Dead thing. Like if the audience isn't giving you anything, it's hard on the band, because we're like, oh man, we'll even have debriefs afterwards, after shows, and be like, man, weird audience tonight, eh? And like, and we're like trying to like get lift off, but sometimes, sometimes shows just, sometimes the band just isn't able to all get in the groove together. So sometimes it just like, it might not be a bad show, but it's not like whoa, that was a show, that was killer, like, so I don't know, like for me, I think we're just trying to like, we're trying to approach a show as we would an album, of making the show like a journey, and each song has its character. But we've kind of like really leaned into like the jam band of like, every show is going to be different, every set list is different, even if we're playing the same songs, which we don't even do that much anymore. But like every show's going to be different now. And yeah, generally I find that people are just into it, and like we always try to talk with the audiences afterwards, and if anyone wants to chat with us, we're more than happy to. But it's like, yeah, some people, I think people are responding positively to it because they seem to be very happy. And that's kind of like what music, I think what live music is. Like, you're all there to experience like a very positive, whatever that means to you, whatever that word means, but like an experience of joy. And like what we try to bring to our shows is that we hope that people take the feeling that they get from our live shows out into the world and be kinder and nicer and treat everyone around them, hopefully in a more respectful, compassionate way. Because I think that's really important right now, because there's a lot of shit going on. And I think we should all be working towards being a little bit kinder, even if you don't understand or like everyone. Just be nice. So that's kind of what we're trying to throw out there, and like build a sense of community, even if we don't know anyone or our values don't typically align with every concert goer, whatever reason. We just hope that we can connect and like form a nice understanding of each other.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.